All right. Welcome to the Viking Age podcast. I'm your host, Adam Patrick. I'm the editor and lead writer for the VikingAge.com. And as always, I'm joined by Chris Schad, who writes for us here at the Viking Age, as well as zone coverage and bring me the news. Before we start today's show, if you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to hit the subscribe button and also like this video. And if you already have, we greatly appreciate you for doing that. Also, make sure to follow the Viking Age on Twitter and Facebook. All right, I don't have any trivia or anything today. I just wanted to, get right into it. I had a little topic that I kind of wanted to just get off my chest because someone's been bothering me in the just general vicinity of the NFL because the Vikings have been off for a little bit. I get to focus a little bit more on the rest of the NFL, and I just want to talk about some of the most annoying people in the NFL right now. To me, that is Russell Wilson. I just cannot stand anything about him right now. I'm sure he's a great guy or whatever, but every single day there's something new that comes out about him, like that's like a carefully, created tweet or whatever from Adam Schefter, or like him saying he's got Wolverine blood, or him working out on the airplane while everyone's sleeping on the way to London. It's just like every day it seems like there's something. So my question just to you right now is Russell Wilson the most annoying player in the NFL right now? Like, to me, he is. So I'm wondering if you agree. And if he's not, then who is?
I would say Aaron Rodgers was
Mm,
probably a very close second, if not number one. I,
okay.
I mean, I don't know if Russ, not to make light of concussions, I don't know if he took a hard hit to the head. I don't know. Like he never seemed this insane
He is
in
dangerous.
Seattle. Yeah, he's dangerous. He's got his own, like that sandwich. Apparently, he bills it as being super spicy, and the most spicy thing on there is banana peppers. It is dangerous to eat Subway sometimes because
Mm-hmm.
if you do eat the wrong thing, you'll be in trouble. But
Well, now they're not going to be a sponsor, so thanks for that.
yeah, that's right. Never bash a sponsor. I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm more of a Jimmy John's or Jersey Mike's kind of guy, to be honest. But anyway, like I was saying though, I mean, it's just weird. The whole thing is just weird. Like it's just like one thing after another, and you can tell like his teammates are just not into it right now. Like they are done with this. Like Melvin Gordon staring a hole through him on the bench. The Broncos country, that was just kind of weird. So you just kind of look past
That's
it.
right.
But now you have like working out on the airplanes, and then that report comes out that you have to speak to his manager before you can talk to him and everything. I like just seems like a guy that completely has alienated everybody, which at the beginning of his career, like the Seahawks would run through a damn wall for Russell Wilson, but you also had stronger personalities on that team too, with Marshawn Lynch, Richard Sherman, Cam Chancellor, the Legion of Boom. Like that was a thing. Aaron Rodgers in Green Bay is very much the same thing. He's got a Super Bowl ring, but I mean, the whole going around in the offseason and going on podcasts and everything else, and I'm going to hold everybody accountable. And like Matt LaFleur is probably like, dude, shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Like, are you kidding me? But yeah.
Yeah, you can easily make the case for Rodgers because I feel like right now they're kind of dueling back and forth as like who can be the most annoying. Because Rodgers right now he's pointing the fingers at everyone else except for him, which is a great look if you're a quarterback and you're supposed to be the leader of the locker room. That's always a great decision to just say that everyone else is messing up and basically not you. So that's always a good decision. But with like Russell Wilson, I think how he is this year. Also, you're not winning, so like I don't think going to the podium like laughing all the time, being full of smiles, like people are just like, dude, you guys are not playing well. It's not. I know you're getting paid millions of dollars, but you need
That's
to
one of
like
the
be more genuine. I guess I'm looking for. I think that's all. That's what annoys me the most is like it seems very calculated and everything seems like it's written out. And this is how I felt about Kirk Cousins before this year. It felt that
Yep,
way,
there you go. I was just about to say that. Yes.
but I don't
That
anymore.
Yeah, winning changes a lot, doesn't it? Because I mean, a
Yeah.
lot of people kind of look at Kirk and be like, well, he doesn't care. He just gives canned answers and whatever. And he's given a lot of canned answers. Like that's just who he is. But like people
Yeah.
are like, well, they're 5-1. And look, he's got chains on. That's hilarious. You know, I mean, if he was wearing chains to the pony, I think I remember after the Bears game last year, he was dressed in his Coles outfit and Justin Jefferson came in with what I don't know the designer or anything, but I mean, they just look like two different people. He's like, look, it's funny. We're dressed differently. And everybody's like, get out of my sight until August at least. Like, I don't want to see or hear from Kirk Cousins until August at the earliest.
Yeah.
So yeah, winning does. I mean, if the Broncos were 5-1 and Russell Wilson was doing knees on the airplane, they wouldn't care. But
I totally
because
forgot.
they're 2-4 or whatever it is.
Yeah. I totally forgot too that he wore his own jersey into like their first preseason game. Like there's so many things that keep popping into my head of all the things that he's been doing. And I'm
Warning
just like,
signs. Yeah. Just like
Also,
this guy's not
it
stable. We
makes
just
me
handed
more
him $242 million.
it makes me more impressed that the Seahawks were able to win a Super Bowl with this guy. Of course, I'm sure he was a little more grounded because they won when he was younger. He was only in the league for like a few years, so he's probably a little more grounded. Now he feels like he has to be like this leader of everyone and set the example and gotta go over the top, but it's like it's too much. Like just stop. I'm every
It
and
is,
every time Adam Schefter tweets about Russell Wilson, it's like you clearly got this from either him or his agent because it's like he strived so hard to fight all week to see if he could play, but in the end he couldn't, and he's just gonna root for his teammates from the sideline. And the other outlets are like Russell Wilson's out. But yeah, it's just everything about him so far this season is annoying. What did you have to say?
I don't even know anymore. Well,
Okay.
he used to play at Wisconsin. That's what I was gonna say.
Yeah.
And I know a couple people who are Badger fans, and they're just like, yeah, we don't take him in because he was basically a mercenary. He came from North Carolina State and then
I was
transferred
gonna say that.
He was the first ever grad transfer, really, but
Yeah, he was. Looking back before we get off this topic, who are some of the NFL players from the past that have maybe annoyed you the most for whatever reason, aside from the two we just talked about?
Brett Favre used to top the list for me. I mean,
Yeah.
he's annoying people for another reason these days. But
Yeah. More than annoying, yeah.
Yeah. Well, and it was just like the whole announcer thing just drooling over him, like John Madden, like Brett Favre is Brett Favre. And if you have Brett Favre, you got Brett Favre. And look, Brett Favre. Like, like I mentioned, Aaron Rodgers, like even before the whole ayahuasca stuff, just the arrogance. And, early in his career, he deserved it, but he just always acted like Todd from Wedding Crashers, just like my family hates me and everything. No, you like literally left your family, dude. This is not it. Like, go watch a video. This is like way back, but I think it was like right after he got drafted, or maybe like right before he was going to take over the starting job. He did this interview with Laura Okerman, and Laura was just doing her job. So, I mean, I'm not trashing her, but like they were sitting on a beach and like Aaron Rodgers has a guitar and he's like, yeah, sometimes I just pick up this guitar, man. And I just keep strumming, just strum along and play it. And like Laura's like, yeah, okay, that's great. That's great. And she's like, call for help, please call for help.
And he's from California, but he's not from like a beach town. He's from like Chico or whatever. So like, that's funny. Tim Tebow is a big one for me.
Oh yeah.
Like anytime I see him, he does like pregame stuff now, right? For like the SEC network or something.
And he's actually pretty good. Yeah.
I'm sure he is.
Yeah, he's great at like commentating.
But like growing up, I feel like maybe like 10 years ago when he was playing, like every day was something new. Like it's the Russell Wilson thing. Like every day it's something new. Like Tebow does this, Tebow does that. Will Tebow play? Will he won't play? Is Tebow good? Is he better? What position is Tebow playing? Like, oh wait, he tried out for the Jaguars last year.
See, I don't think Tebow himself is annoying. I think the coverage around Tim Tebow.
Well, then people know they're going to click on it or whatever, or watch it.
Yeah.
So
especially when he's in the Mets organization hitting like 184 and be like, let's check in on Tim Tebow. And like, let's not. Let's not.
Or I got Antonio Brown on my list. But being annoyed with him mostly now is just like feeling bad for him at this point because like everything he does seems to
I didn't
be.
mute. I'm sorry.
No, that's okay. Everything he does seems to be just getting worse by the day. And then Ray Lewis, like
Oh
talk
yeah.
about like lack of being genuine. He's someone that's always rubbed me the wrong way. Like he's overcompensating for something else that he might have done in his past. Um,
I'm not gonna go there, but yeah, I know what you're talking about.
but like,
Just the commercials too. It's like, oh yeah, testify,
yeah, no,
testify.
no thanks, no thanks, no thanks. All right, we'll move off of this topic and we'll talk about some Vikings because it's a Vikings podcast. So, today, uh, Heavy.com's Matt Lombardo reported that that teams are calling the Vikings or have been calling the Vikings, have continued to call the Vikings about possibly making a trade for Alexander Mattison, the Vikings' number 2 running back. Now, and then he went on to say that a trade involving Madison's probably unlikely because the Vikings prioritize him. But there's always, if a certain offer comes along, the Vikings might accept it. But my question to you is, should the Vikings listen to trade offers for Alexander Mattison, or should they just hang up the phone every time someone talks about him?
They should listen,
Okay.
but I wouldn't do it
Right.
unless somebody's like, "We'll give you a first." Okay.
Yeah.
You know
Yeah.
what I mean?
Yeah.
Like some kind of offer that you're just like, are you on ayahuasca? Are you like, what are you? Are you
That's your
hanging out with Aaron
that's your go-to
Rodgers?
right now, isn't it?
It is. I'm hammering it a little bit too much, but I mean, like the Madison thing. We talked about this in preseason, right? And
Yeah,
we're just
yeah.
like, look at all this depth you got. You got Kene Wongwu, you got Ty Chandler. Well, I think Ty Chandler's got a broken hand or something. I know he's
Thumb,
hurt.
I think.
Yeah.
Thumb.
So
Yep.
so he's on the shelf. Kene Wongwu, I don't think he's got an offensive touch this year.
I
And
don't
if
think
he
so.
was any good at taking the ball, like they would have given him a carry at some point just because of his speed and what he brings to the field. So I don't think that's like a thing. So when your running back is not the picture of health, like Dalvin Cook is not, like
Right.
I'm not trading depth. I'm not trading a guy who has had its ups and downs as a starter when he's had to spot start, but he's capable of doing his job efficiently. Because if Dalvin goes down, you're battling for a playoff spot or even home field advantage, like we've talked about. It'd be nice to have a guy like Alexander Mattison. And everybody freaks out about the whole, well, you don't really need him and he's just going to walk at the end of the year. Well, you get a compensation pick if, that happens. So, I mean, like
So it's got to
the
be better than probably
return,
it's got to be better than right now. It's got to be better than at least a 5th, right?
the
'Cause that'll
return,
be
yeah, the return's got to be higher than a comp pick. And
Yeah.
like James Robinson just got traded from the Jaguars to the Jets in exchange for Blake Cashman, former Gopher, roll the boat, and a 6th round pick that could turn into a 5th. So what are you really getting for Alexander Mattison that's going to help you? I had Matthew Collar on my podcast, The Homer Horn, which is going to drop a little bit later on Thursday night and be out officially on tomorrow morning. But we were talking about the Jameson Williams thing, and we're just like, the Vikings need a receiver right now. And he's like, you got a lot of capital in that trade, and that was kind of what you're boasting. But now you're almost robbing Peter to pay Paul because you're going into the trade market having to give up those more assets just to fix your receiver problem if you have one.
Yeah.
So that's kind of what this whole running back thing is. It's like, all right, we got a 4th round pick for Alexander Mattison. Oh, Dalvin messed up his shoulder. We are screwed. Like that sort of thing. So, I mean, if they were 1-5 instead of 5-1, I'm making a deal.
Oh, yeah.
At 5-1, hang on to your guys, keep the roster and go from there.
Yeah, I think if the Vikings were going to give him up, it'd probably have to be like this. It might sound outrageous, but a 2nd just for them to give him up. Because they need his depth, and teams aren't really going to be willing to give up a whole lot because his contract expires in a few months. So yeah, I would be surprised if they traded him. I was trying to think of some teams that might have already inquired about him. I would imagine that the Broncos did when Javonte Williams went down. Just got the George Payton connection there. I would imagine that the Jets probably did too. They probably just called around to a bunch of people and were like, "Hey, we need a running back." And then the Rams, who ranked 31st in rushing this year, I would imagine they've probably given Kevin O'Connell a buzz and been like, "Hey, do you need Alexander Mattison? Can you throw him over here?"
Here's a question. Would you do Alexander Mattison for Cam Akers straight up? What if that's the deal?
How much? Let's see how much is on Cam Akers' contract.
Probably 2 years, right? Because rookie year tore his Achilles. Last year was second. So he's probably got another year left on his contract.
Yeah, it expires. Yeah, he's got 2 years left. I don't know, because then I don't like trading in the same conference.
He's got to learn the playbook, and he's got to that would be the most Vikings thing ever. Just like we get rid of Alexander Mattison, and he just goes off for like $150 in like the wild card round.
He would. Yeah. I wouldn't do that trade. One, because I feel like Sean McVay could do that with Mattison and get the most out of him, and then you'd be helping someone who could possibly get in your way in the playoffs, and I don't think that's a good idea. If you were trading him to the Chiefs or the Bills, sure, go right ahead, but not the Rams, and not a team that's like their scheme is so similar to the Vikings that no, I wouldn't. Nope. And Cam Akers doesn't. Do you want him in your locker room? Doesn't seem like, I know some guys try and get their way out or whatever, but like, do you want that in your locker room? Like, it seems like if Sean McVay doesn't like you, like, that's probably not a good sign.
Like a year 3 running back bust, like in today's NFL, is not somebody you want.
Yeah,
I just posted it as a hypothetical because that could be a deal that maybe that's being offered, but
maybe they do. I don't think they do that. I don't
know.
Maybe Kevin O'Connell really likes Cam Akers, but I don't think he offers anything more than Mattison does. Even, and if he does, it's not by a lot. So,
and even like, I mean, Kevin O'Connell might know something about Cam Akers. Sean McVay's like, I'm not giving it to him.
Right.
Just a devil's advocate idea, but
no, yeah, I completely understand that logic. So we'll move on to that. We'll see. The trade deadline is on November 1st, which is next Tuesday. So we'll see. I would expect them, though, to possibly make a deal. I'd be surprised, because you look at all the trades they made in the draft, and then those 2 trades they made right before the season. They're definitely calling people right now. It depends on what they're going to have to give up to maybe get who they want to go after, whether that's a receiver, a pass rusher, a cornerback, or whatever. But I would be surprised if they don't make a deal before next Tuesday.
It is weird because most deals before the NFL deadline usually don't happen. Right. But I mean, just watching the Eagles there, apparently they called about Alvin Kamara.
Oh,
which
really?
That is something.
I didn't hear that.
Yeah, I saw it this morning. I can't remember where I saw it. I swear I read something where the Eagles called. I feel bad because now I'm like being put on the spot, like what it was. But I mean, I was groggy and my head's full of snot and everything.
I think teams are just more figuring out what positions they can trade for at the trade deadline that'll like actually be worth their while, as opposed to years past. Or like, let's get a quarterback or let's get a offensive lineman. It's like, well, they don't really adjust as fast as like, let's say, a running back or a receiver. Like, you can plug someone like an OBJ in there and he'll pick up the offense like within 2 weeks or whatever. You can put a running back in there and they'll help you immediately. So like, I think teams are just getting better at learning what positions they can actually trade for at the deadline, which is why I feel like we've seen more trades so far this year before the deadline than we have really in years past. So, and I don't think they're done. So we will. What, Kadarius Toney got traded to the Chiefs today? Yeah. So
yes, yeah.
That's and then I heard that they're not out on Odell Beckham either. Like just after this trade, and I'm like, how many receivers do they need? Like
the Rams needed all of them. There was one left standing.
But the Chiefs, no one's injured on the Chiefs. That's why I'm like, but the Rams, I understood because they had injured guys. But like,
are any of their receivers good though? Like Sky with 8 Ys isn't really good. Mecole Hardman had 3 touchdowns last week. I'm not so sure.
Juju Smith-Schuster.
Juju is
okay. Yeah, they're all okay. Is Kadarius Toney like? I don't know.
Yeah, I'm not a big fan of his.
Is Odell Beckham coming off his second ACL injury going to be awesome too? Who knows? I'd still want him on the Vikings, but who knows? All right, Jared Allen this weekend going to be inducted into the Vikings Ring of Honor. I believe at halftime. of the Vikings Cardinals game. I did just see that fans who are in attendance will get some mullet headbands. So if you are in attendance at the Vikings game, make sure to get one of those. I saw because I think Danielle Hunter and Zadarius Smith posted a picture of them wearing them today, which is pretty great to see Danielle Hunter with a mullet. But my question for you, I think we've already gone over like some of our favorite Jared Allen moments and stuff, but just where does he rank maybe among the best Vikings players of your lifetime?
So I would say this is from 1998 on.
Yep.
So if people clap back with Chris Dolman or like, in my opinion, even though I never saw him play, Alan Page is the greatest Viking of all time.
Yeah.
So from 1998 on, I'll clarify that.
I said your lifetime. You weren't.
Yeah,
you weren't
yeah,
born
no.
when
I just want, just in case there's some older people just like, Alan Page. So
yeah,
I just want to define what my lifetime is and
Yeah.
date myself in the process. But I just started brainstorming names off the top of my head. I got Moss.
Yep.
I got Chris Carter.
Yep.
I got John Randall.
Yep.
I got Adrian Peterson.
Yep.
Maybe Kevin Williams belongs in there. I think he's underrated.
Yep.
Maybe Antoine Winfield is another guy that belongs in there. He's probably borderline top 10. Again, since 1998.
Yeah.
I think Jared Allen's definitely a top 10 guy. Because, I mean, what they gave up to get it, I mean, it was a ballsy move to go get him because I think he had a couple of DUIs. I think he had some off the field concerns. They coughed up a first round pick, which I think wound up being Derek Harvey. That was the guy I wanted in the draft process. And then all of a sudden I saw what Jared Allen was doing. And I'm like, that guy would be awesome.
He's okay.
And his personality, too. I mean, sometimes, players' personalities make you want to cheer for them even more. And the fact that Jared Allen just did not care if he looked like an idiot was just beautiful. I mean, that's why fans kind of flocked to him, and he was good. So, I mean, I think he's definitely a top 10 player in my lifetime.
He was a like a pro wrestler on the field, pretty much, like in the NFL. That's as close as you could probably get to a pro wrestler being in the NFL who's actually good. Like, Goldberg's played in the NFL. Brock Lesnar had a little.
Brian Bosworth was a pro wrestler, basically.
Yes.
I mean, I'm just supporting your.
Is there anyone like? I guess maybe Gronk when he played, kind of, just because he's just a
off the
goofball.
Field. I don't think he was.
No, he wasn't.
I don't know. Because he didn't make it as a wrestler either.
WWE wants him to be. Yeah, they want him to be. But
get those clicks, baby.
I can't think of anyone right now who's like got that kind of personality. There aren't.
Gardner Minshew, maybe. Gardner Minshew's a lot like Jared Allen personality wise.
Yeah, because just
like I could see Jared Allen living in an RV
for sure. I had those same names. I had Randy Moss, Chris Carter, John Randall, Adrian Peterson, Randall McDaniel. I think you put in there because he was just so dominant. As an offensive lineman.
Randall McDaniel was in my mind too. He was at the tail end of his career.
Is Justin Jefferson in there already?
Need to see it another year or two.
Okay.
I mean, Odell, like, think of it this way. Odell Beckham, do you consider him to be an all-time great receiver despite,
No.
Yeah. So, I mean, if Justin Jefferson doesn't keep producing like he has, I'm just talking about I would say no right now.
Yeah,
if he got hurt tomorrow, yes.
Yeah, I'm talking about like the last 20 years.
Let's
not do that.
Put that in the universe.
I'd put him top 10. I think you can make an argument that he's top 5 because Jared Allen, he was consistent. He had double-digit sacks for so many years. He was all pro. Let's see, Moss, Carter, Randall, Peterson. I think you could put Allen at 5. I think you can make that argument.
Sure.
So, yeah. Who should be the next person inducted into the Vikings Ring of
Honor? When I was listing out my top guys, Antoine Winfield seems like someone who will be in the Ring of Honor eventually. Chad Greenway is another guy I think that will be in there. Kyle Rudolph, I think, will be in there someday. And the other one that's kind of interesting is Adrian Peterson, who, I mean, he's got to retire first, but I mean, when do they kind of do that? Because I think it's going to happen. Nobody has worn 28 since he retired.
Right. I got an interesting one for you. How about Robert Smith?
Yeah.
Second all time in Vikings career rushing yards. He would be first if Adrian Peterson did not exist. He had that 1,500-yard season for them in 2000. I looked it up too. He did not lead the league in rushing that year. 1,500 rushing yards back in the day was not a lot. But yeah, just being second, he made I think 3 Pro Bowls. Second career rushing yards in the Vikings. I think that's an interesting one. I wouldn't mind if they put Robert Smith in there. I think he was a big part of those 98, 97, 2000 teams that had that success. And then Steve Hutchinson. He's not in there yet, I don't think, because Kevin Williams went in there last year.
Yeah.
So he's not in there yet. He's
so
in the
probably Hutch would be the next one.
He's in the Hall of Fame, but he's not in the Ring of Honor.
Usually they do that back to back.
Yeah,
like Moss got in the Hall of Fame and then they put him in the Ring of Honor.
He's got to do a little bit more to get in the Ring of Honor. He's in the Hall of Fame, but he's got to wait his turn. So yeah, Hutchinson, I would say probably would be next. I had Greenway listed too, Winfield, Robert Smith. Does Dante Culpepper ever get in there?
What's a precedent though? Like how long was Culpepper good? Because he got drafted in 99, started in 2000, got hurt in 2005. So that's a 5-year stretch. Is 5 years up and down because he had his highs and his lows. Is that good enough to get in the, like, if you're, and like you talk about the Vikings, like with people our age, and like when oh yeah, Dante Culpepper was the bomb, I don't know. That's a very good, I don't think he played long enough to do it, but if they wound up doing it, like if he had won MVP in 2004, I think it's a more valid argument, but I don't know.
Yeah. Because like Ahmad Rashad's in there, and I'm like, he was pretty good. Like he had some good seasons, but like, is he one of the NFL's best all-time receivers? I don't think so.
Let's
he had
talk
the miracle
about
at the Met. Okay.
Let's talk about this. If Dante Culpepper, how about Stephon Diggs? Does Stephon Diggs get in someday?
Ooh. You think that
I say yes.
You think because the miracle helps him?
I think the miracle helps him, and if he goes on to have a big career, yes. How about Mike Zimmer?
Oh, we talked about this last.
Mention that. Yeah.
We talked about this last time. I think he gets in, and people are like, "Oh no, why? He sucks." And I'm like, he's the third winningest coach in franchise history. Like, I know there's only like 10, but that's pretty good. He only got to the playoffs like 3 times or 4 times. It's like, how many did the other coaches do before him? So like, I think he will eventually. Like I said, not anytime soon. Maybe within the next like 10 years, because there's going to be times where they're going to kind of like run out of players to put in the Ring of Honor. Like they're not going to put like Jake Reed in there. Sorry, Jake Reed. I like Jake Reed, but they're not going to just like put somebody random in there. Then you need to have some success in your career to get in there. So I can see Zimmer in there. I can see most of the people that we named. I wouldn't be surprised if Culpepper did not get in. I would like to see it just because of my own selfish childhood memories and all that stuff. But I think I'd be more surprised if he got in probably than I'd be ecstatic if he got in, but I'd be more surprised if he got in than didn't. So
put him right next to Randy Moss. I'm sure that's already taken, but maybe we changed our mind on this.
He still comes around though, right? Like for like the autograph stuff, I feel like, and he came around like they had like a Legends Day or whatever a few years ago, and I think Culpepper was part of that, just like the whatever. But yeah, he's around. So let's see. Oh, the Vikings are playing a game on Sunday. That's weird. It's been a while. They're playing at home inside US Bank Stadium at noon in October. So this is like prime Kirk Cousins setup He's ready to go. I looked it up earlier this week. The Vikings are 10-1 with Kirk Cousins in noon games at home in the months of October and November. So they are very hard to beat in these scenarios. But we're playing the Cardinals. The Cardinals who just beat the Saints on Thursday Night Football, so they've had a little extra rest. But they're not very good this year. They got off to a hot start last year, but they're 3-4 this year. Things kind of seem a little bit out of whack. They haven't had DeAndre Hopkins. He came back last game and looked pretty good, so that's a little concerning. And I believe the last time I saw it, the Vikings were favored by 3.5. That could have changed by now on FanDuel. But just what we usually do. The Vikings will win on Sunday if they do what?
Well, first of all, if they didn't read their press clippings over the bye week, or
Right.
and maybe now that I kind of think about it, maybe their press clippings weren't that bad because, like, I don't think anybody's sitting there going, like, look at the Vikings, watch
No.
out for those guys. They're
Nope.
just kind of like, are they legit? Are they good? Are
Yeah.
they? Do we know?
Yep.
Like, we don't know anything.
And then
I guess
somebody writes about the Niners trading for Kirk Cousins. Somebody does that.
Clickbait. Haven't you seen all the game-winning drives that he's made? Okay. But I think the Vikings need to get more people involved on offense. Right now, it's Justin Jefferson and everybody else. Dalvin Cook's not in a rhythm. Adam Thielen has the lowest total through his first 6 games of a season since he was a special teams player in 2015. KJ Osborne, where are you? Irv Smith Jr., can you catch a pass? If it's Justin Jefferson and Johnny freaking Munt, we got a problem here. So I think that's the key to sustaining drives. And I think that if the Vikings sustain drives on Sunday, it keeps Kyler Murray off the field. So I'm going to go with that. Basically, they just got to get more people involved and stay on the field and keep the Cardinals off of it.
Yeah, I agree with all that. I think first off, they got to take advantage of the Cardinals' injuries. Right now, the Cardinals' injury report looks like a complete roster. There are a lot of players on their injury report, including 4 offensive linemen. Let's see, today, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 guys were either limited or did not practice today, including running back James Conner, kicker Matt Prater, center Rodney Hudson, like lots of people that they need to do well. But DeAndre Hopkins is healthy, Kyler Murray's healthy, Budda Baker's healthy. They still have plenty of playmakers that the Vikings have to worry about. They also need to exploit the Cardinals' pass defense because Cardinals are 25th in the NFL in pass defense this year. I believe the Saints just put up 400 passing yards on them last week. That's Andy Dalton putting 400 passing yards on the Cardinals last week. I know they were behind. They had to throw a lot, but still, that's Andy Dalton generating over 400 yards passing. So the Vikings have the weapons in their passing game to attack the Cardinals defense, like with Jefferson and Thielen and Osborne. Where's Jalen Reagor this year? Like, I keep seeing the Vikings want to trade for someone to stretch the field, and I'm like, wasn't that like a strength of Rager's coming out of college or whatever? Like, he's just like this burner. Like, he just.
I think the Eagles tried to use him that way and it didn't work.
Well,
I honestly think
catch.
he's more of a gadget guy. And they haven't used him in that capacity either. So
just that one time against
just that punt return, because Matt Daniels is like, he's got them quads, man, those big calves,
and then this seems simple, but the Vikings need to take care of the football. The Cardinals have forced 7 turnovers in the last 4 games, so they're going to go for the ball. They're going to maybe try and bait Kirk Cousins into throwing somewhere and then pick it off. So, like, they got to take care of the football. And it seems simple, but it could be a big key in this game. All right, the Vikings will lose on Sunday if they do what? Or they don't do what?
Kyler Murray just does whatever he wants, basically. The Call of Duty thing is funny, but Kyler Murray's also a freak athlete and can get away with just playing video games all day and showing up to work. He threw for 400 yards last time against the Vikings. And the Vikings are averaging 8.2 yards per attempt. That's this season. That's the highest clip in the NFL. So I'm not chalking this up as an easy win as I did at the beginning of the year. But if they let Kyler Murray run around, get out of the pocket, and make plays, they're going to be in trouble.
Yeah, and that seems like the easy number one thing that they need to worry about. Historically, they haven't been good against running quarterbacks. You think of Lamar Jackson, you think of Michael Vick. Earlier this season, Jalen Hurts, like way back in the day when RG3 was good, he had that long overtime run or whatever against the Vikings. So, yeah, historically, they're not good against scrambling quarterbacks. I'm not so sure how much that matters this year, but you always got to worry about him regardless of what games are being released this week or whatever. You always got to worry about Kyler. They cannot come out flat. They haven't played in 2 weeks. You cannot come out looking like you're not ready to play. You're not amped up. Like they gotta come out ready. I feel like they have to score in the third quarter because that's how a lot of these teams have been able to come back. The Vikings haven't really scored a whole lot of points. I think they're averaging 1 point in the third quarter this year, which is not good. They need to do that. Touchdown would be preferred, so they need to do that. They have to make sure they get pressure on Kyler. I think it's kind of just goes in hand with containing him with all their offensive linemen that are injured this week. It seems like a perfect opportunity for the pass rush, and we just saw in the last game that they played, Patrick Jones kind of had like a little coming out party where he had multiple sacks. Get Danielle Hunter in there. Zadarius Smith will do his thing. Delvin Tomlinson get in there. Get Brian Asamoah in there, or he's going to have a bigger role moving forward. So they can't let D-Hop dominate. That seems pretty obvious. DeAndre Hopkins, one of the best receivers in the game, just came back last week after a 6-game suspension, and he had over 100 yards receiving. The Vikings' pass defense is not that good, so they just got to figure out a way to stop him. And lastly, I have they will lose if Greg Joseph continues to struggle at home. He hasn't made a field goal at home since week 1.
Mm-hmm.
So in a game that's expected to be closer, you got to make those kicks. Like I understand I believe all of his attempts that he's missed have been from 50 yards away, but still, like you're an NFL kicker, you should be able to make those kicks. So he's got to make those. If the Vikings are going to win, he's got to make one. Just make one. What's your final score prediction for Sunday between the Vikings and Cardinals?
Well, I'm an agent of chaos, so I know this team cannot is physically incapable of winning a game by more than one score. Ooh. So I'm going to say it's going to be redemption for Greg Joseph. 31-28, Vikings win at the Horn.
I forgot about that last year. You're right. Maybe he's thinking about that. Hope not.
I think the Cardinals are tougher than we think. So
especially with DeAndre Hopkins back, he makes a big difference. Seems like Kyler's sick of Cliff Kingsbury's shit. He was getting in his face last week, just like, dude, stop talking. Like, you don't know what you're doing. Just let me run around. I got the Vikings winning 30-21. That is more than one score. So maybe I'm living life on the edge here and thinking they can actually do that coming out of a bye, having 2 weeks to prepare for an opponent who's 3-4. But I feel like they should win. I can see it being close too, but I got it 30-21. And that's all I got. I was surprised real quick before we left that, in the Ring of Honor, you didn't say that the next person to be inducted was going to be Brock Lesnar.
Why not?
Yeah. But that would be a giant slap in the face to everyone else in the Ring of Honor because it'd be like, oh, okay, this is just for like, publicity or whatever. Okay.
Is he in the Gopher Hall of Fame though? Not for, I mean,
I don't know.
Overall.
You would probably know that better than me.
I know. He probably should be, but
wrestling, right?
Yeah, Gopher wrestling.
Shelton Benjamin.
And Shelton Benjamin. If we want to talk about like great Gopher wrestlers turned pro wrestlers.
Who's the kid that just came out of there?
Gable Steveson. He's a parent. I'll give you a Gable Steveson story. I covered high school wrestling at my old job at the Dodge County Independent, and Casson Manorville was a very big wrestling school. So there was a tournament in Rochester where Apple Valley was there, and Gable Stevenson was fighting in the heavyweight championship, and he had some poor, he had to fight some poor kid from, gosh, I can't, Alexandria or something.
Isn't every person he probably faced some poor kid?
Yeah, it was like a farm kid. Like that's what I joked. Like the 285 championship in section 1 was like the corn-fed championship. Like in section class A, that was like the small one. Just like, you got guys from like Plainview or like small little farm towns just fighting it out in the circle. But yeah. Gable walked out there. He looked bored. He pinned the kid in like 9 seconds. Like, all right, can we go home now? Like, yeah. But dude is a beast. Well, some people will say off the field, but I mean, on an athletic field, dude is a beast.
Schad Gable's from Minnesota too, right?
Love me some Schad Gable. That guy's awesome too.
Shoosh. Did he go to Minnesota too? I think.
No. He went somewhere else. But
okay. Former
Olympian.
Is he from Minnesota though?
Yeah, St. Michael.
Okay.
St. Michael, Albertville.
I knew there was a Minnesota connection. All right, let's get out of here before we get carried away with our wrestling takes.
Shoosh!
Exactly. If you're watching this on YouTube, make sure to subscribe and like this video. We got 500 subscribers now, so that's pretty exciting. Seems kind of
welcome aboard. They're probably leaving after our wrestling talk.
Yeah, sure. So yeah, we got under 500 subscribers now. So make sure to subscribe to this channel if you're watching on YouTube, and like the video, and follow us on Twitter and Facebook at the Viking Age. And this podcast is always in audio form. This episode will be out in the morning on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, iHeart, wherever you get your podcasts. So go look for that as well. But until next time, actually go and enjoy Thursday Night Football tonight, because it's actually a good game. It's the Ravens and Bucks. Like, I kind of want to watch some of it, even though Tom Brady's not that great this year, but still seems pretty good. All right, until next time, Chris and I will talk to you later.